Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Phoebe. I'm coming to you from the land of 1,000 WIPs, and I'm very happy to live there. So I stitch on a lot of different things. If you're new to my channel, I have a pretty eclectic taste. I used to stitch like exclusively dimensions kits because that's all I ever knew existed from about age 12 to 35 until I found Flosstube basically. And now I just kind of want to try everything, so that's what I do. I primarily stitch on linen. I do have a few Ada projects and some even weave projects, and I enjoy kitting up from stash and pulling my own flosses for a lot of things. I enjoy 40 count most of the time, one strand stitching. I enjoy dyeing my own linen, dyeing my own floss. And I just generally try to stitch every day because it really makes me happy. And I'm assuming that it makes you happy too, and that's why you're here. If you have come across this channel for some other reason than you love cross stitch, Flosstube is a part of YouTube where we talk about stitchy crafts. And so on this channel, I talk about cross stitch and occasionally crochet. And today will just be about cross stitch. So I'm going to share with you my finish. I have a finish first. And then I'm going to share with you my works in progress. Those are known as WIPs in Flosstube. And then I will share with you my plans. I don't have any haul today. So that's pretty much how it's going to go today. I'm so glad that you're here. If you are new to this channel and you aren't yet subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe. And let's talk about cross stitch and let's just hang out and let's have some fun. So if you were here in my last video, which I have an update every 2 weeks, one of the projects that I rolled on my random wheel for me to stitch on this week was stitched on the previous section of the month, and so I was very close to a finish, so I have a finish on it. So here is my She Sights a Bird. This is Blackbird Designs. I am stitching it with the called for flosses on this 32 count even weave that I got at one of the craft stores and dyed it a little bit. And I'm stitching all of the loose feathers designs from Blackbird Designs. This is number 3. And this one was really, really fun because I do love alphabets, and that alphabet fonting is beautiful. Personalized it with a P. And then this project is entirely one stitch shorter because I messed up somewhere in the cat. And I was like, well, I am not ripping that all out, so I just shortened the cat. Which means I had to come across and shorten everything. But you can't really tell, huh? So it's stitching. We're supposed to have fun. So I don't really stress too much about it. So these are the called for weeks flosses for this design. And it is 1/2. I'm doing all the loose feathers 1/2 on 32 count because I prefer the look. And I'm making them all into pillows. So I will make this one into a pillow as well. And that means that the next time this gets drawn from my Mania wheel, I will start number 4. Very exciting. So I did have a new start in the last 2 weeks because September started and I wanted to start a new Back to School Sal with Lauren from the New Hampshire Stitcher. And the project that I chose is definitely a BAP. That stands for Big Ass Project, or Big Awesome Project, however you prefer. I am going to be stitching on this bed sheet of a 1/2 yard. I'm going to be stitching Mary Bars from Stacy Nash. It looks like this, what's up on the screen right now. And you probably can't tell that I've put anything in this because I am determined, unlike my Back to School Sal from last year, which was Andale from Shakespeare's Peddler, I'm going to do the entire border first. Shocking, I know. So I've got Schneckly, which is the called for floss for the border from Weeks. Now you can see, now that I'm pulling in. And I know I have to do 21 of these little things that are going to have flowering up here on the top of them. So I think I have 20 of them in. So my Back to School Sal, basically Lauren says pick a really big project that you've been dying to stitch, kit it up for back to school time of year, and then start it. So it's actually, this piece of fabric, I dyed this while I was at Heidi's house. in June, and so it's quite long, but it's only going to be this, it's only going to go this far down, but I did need a half yard, so because it wasn't going to fit on a quarter, a fat quarter. So I am going to have a lot. It's not going to go all the way down is what my point is. So it's going to go about to there, and then because I'm almost at the 21st little part of the border there. So there's my needle, because I'm stitching on this 2 strands a day every day for September. So if you've been with me on this channel, I have been stitching 2 strands a day on my Mirabilia Garden Prelude, which I'll show you a little update on in just a second. But for September, I'm going to stitch 2 strands a day on this, and I will be getting the whole border done, and then I'll move on from there. So that's the plan. As you can see, this is a really rich kind of clay, and because I saw this stitched on something dark and I thought it looked really nice. Here are my flosses. So as I mentioned before, I love to pull floss from stash, but I did pull Schneckly because I do have it, but you need a lot of Schneckly, so I grabbed 2 extra skeins of that. And then I just have a pretty good mishmash of floss. I was just talking to my sister yesterday because she's just getting back into stitching, and she was like, well, do I need to go buy the specialty floss? And I'm like, only if you want to. So I showed her some examples of things stitched with just DMC versus overdyed floss or silk, and I showed her, you know, it's completely your own preference if you want variegation in your piece. So I kitted it up. There was not a DMC list in the pattern, so I just looked up the flosses online and then picked stuff that I already had. So I'm very excited about that. I also changed a few colors because my, I still have it in here, but Sanguine from Weeks is very nearly like this exact color. It's like slightly darker than Sanguine. There's a fly in here. So I'm probably gonna change that color out when I get to it, if it's ghosting on here too much. And then there was something else that was very pink, like rosy pink, close to this, and I changed it to this color. Gumnut from Cottage Garden Threads is going to be one of the alphabets instead of the pinky color, because I want it to stand out more. So that is my new start. I'm very excited about it. So we'll see. It'll be in definitely the next 2 videos with updates for that border, and I am very excited. And I don't have any other new starts planned anytime soon. This fly is going to be the death of me. Let me find a fly spotter. Of course I can't find it now. So anyway, that was my new start. Those are my 2 strands a day. So I pull out, since I'm doing 1 strand on 40 count on that Mary Bars, I pull out 1 strand of Schneckly, put it in, pull out a 2nd strand of Schneckly, and I usually try to do that first thing, like whatever my first stitching portion of the day is. We'll stitch on that first and then move on to any other projects if I'm feeling it. These last 2 stitchy weeks did have part of August in them, and so I do still have an update on my Garden Prelude. This is from Mirabilia, and as I updated you in the last video, I finished all of the over 1 skin, and so I'm just working more on her dress. As you can see, it's coming down farther, and I just love the colors in this piece. I picked this one to start first from Mirabilia because I love the musical, got the fly. I love that she's a musician, but I also love the colors, like all my favorite colors in here. We have all of these periwinkle blue purples, and then these beautiful aqua teals, and then these really yummy tart green yellows. So, oh, so beautiful. So I'm stitching this on 32 count white chelt. I didn't over dye this one. This is one of my oldest WIPs, which is why it was my 2 strands a day. Before I knew about over dyeing my own linen, I certainly would have, but that's okay. That's okay, because it will show, you know, the evolution of my stitchy enjoyment over the years, that this one doesn't have any kind of fun over dyeing. But I'm loving this. So this is 2 strands over 2, because also that's how I was doing back in the day. And I say back in the day, but this is only 2 years old. So anyway, I won't be stitching on this. You won't see it in the next couple videos, because I'll be doing my other 2 strand stitching for every day of the month in September. But I will be very, very excited to get back to her when October comes. When October comes. Yeah, really, really enjoying her, and it's with all the called for flosses and stuff. Okay, so my next WIP, I told you guys last time that I'm going to be stitching a lot of fall and Halloween in September. Rather than doing sampler September, I'm going to be doing my 2 strands a day on my sampler, but the rest of the next 2 months I'm going to be doing a lot of fall and Halloween stitching because that makes me really happy. So this is my Jack's Bash from Plum Street Samplers. I'm using my own flosses, as you can see by like this flower is very variegated, and down here, because of the floss that I chose, I just wanted to make it a little bit more exciting for myself. So this time I was trying to finish this band of the sampler. So I finished up this house, except for, you know, a little bit in there. Finished up the lady, the trees, and put this man in. He wasn't in at all. It feels like the Headless Horseman right now because, you know, it's like he's holding his head right there. So anyway, I love this one. This is new, and this down here is new. I really, really love this sampler. I saw it on Olivia Pumpkin Holo, and Katie, the Tattered Stitcher, So Tattered, and they were working on it, and I just had to start it. So I dyed a piece of fabric for this one, and I decided that I would dye 4 more fat quarters of this recipe that I have and list them on my website. So that will be linked down below. I occasionally talk to you about how I am a nail polish maker. I run my own indie nail polish brand, and if you don't know what that is, basically there's big brands like OPI, China Glaze, Sally Hansen, what have you. But then there are small brand makers like me where we manufacture, produce, conceive, ship, bottle, do it all in our own space, and it makes it so I can choose really fun elements. I'll put up on the screen a few examples to put in my polish because they're hand poured. They're not poured from a machine, so there's like, I take the time to do that, whereas a machine the elements might get stuck in there and create problems, which is a lot of the reason why a lot of mainstream brands just do cream or shimmer polishes. It also means that I can put a lot more expensive and fun ingredients into my polish to make a really impactful, and you can really make a lot more statement and choices about what's on your nails with all these really fun components. So anyway, my brand is Moonshine Manny. On the website there will be a tab at the bottom, let me show you here, where you can click Moonshine Stitchery, and I will be starting to offer linen on there now. So this linen is called Landslide, and I have my pieces of linen here. So my recipe that I did originally for that has some bigger kind of splotches of the mix of the different dyes that I mixed together. I decided not to do that for the mainstreamed kind of version of Landslide, so that it will be, if you don't like big splotches of color, like I sometimes like that in mine. But so I have 4 fat quarters available. So if you would like to stitch on something that I've dyed, these are 40 count because that is my preference. And then we'll see how it goes, and I will bring in some more colors from different pieces of linen that I have dyed and I've been enjoying. And I will always let you guys know when there's a new color on the website or if I'm restocking something. So yes, I will leave that linked down the description bar below. The link to my website, my Moonshine Manny website, is always down there if you ever need any nail care, hand care items. I offer cuticle oils and lotions and all the things for our hands that we're using so frequently to help keep them soft, and that stuff is on there too. It's under the nail care. So if you're ever interested in that, but now Moonshine Stitchery will be on there as well. Okay, so this next piece is Mary Morgan's from Fox and Rabbit, and I don't remember if I drew this randomly last time or if I just decided I wanted to stitch on it. I think what happened was I was looking through my WIP list for like what I hadn't stitched on the longest, because I do have a WIP journal where I write down, you know, when the last time I stitched on something was, and I think I hadn't stitched on this in quite a while. So this is stitched on a piece of Fabric and Flare. I forget what it's called, but it's printed with some big kind of coffee tea dyed look splotches on there. And I chose that because this pattern has all of these bright, funky colors on it. So I was trying to ground it a little bit. But anyway, so this project, I really wanted to get in here to the flower. I always see on Cam the Stitcher's channel how she's got, I think she started here in the middle, and the flower is so beautiful. So this time I counted over and then went down from here, and I don't think I'm at the flower yet. I think I'm just at like right above it, the big main flower. But that's what I was working on this time. So this is stitched with all of the called for DMCs, and it is 1/2 on 40 count Fabric and Flare. And so basically just this is what's new this time. So there is Mary Morgan's. You see a lot of WIPs on my channel if you're new, because I am stitching for the love of it, and if what my heart wants to do is switch to a different project every day, sometimes I will just do that, because the whole point of it is for the enjoyment, which then gives me stress relief. So that's just how I am. If you don't like to stitch on a lot of WIPs, I get that too. I used to be a monogamous dimensions kit stitcher, but I know that about myself, that I need that kind of switch up to kind of it just gives me more enjoyment to be stitching on a lot of things. Another project that I'm stitching with the called for DMCs. So this is Riley Harbor from Cathy Barrick, or Carriage House. And I was stitching on this. I drew this last time with you guys. This is another piece of linen I'm thinking about reproducing and offering on the website. I really love the kind of buttercream base that I started with, and then I added all this yummy charcoal to it. So anyway, I rolled this with you guys for me to stitch on last time, I believe, but I was stitching on it, and I was talking to Kim and Heidi in our stitchy session that we had last Sunday. And now that I'm doing the hometown sal from Teresa Kogut, which is a whole little town, I'm not sure that I need both of these WIPs, and I'm much less far on this than I am on that. So I don't know, because it just feels like very, very similar, and I don't know that I need to be doing them both at the same time. But I haven't fully decided to put down this WIP. But what do you think? Because I'm going to be stitching on that T-Cog for 2 whole years. It's a 2-year sal. So I really do still love the fact that this WIP has that whale, and it is different, like it's a seaside town. And I really love this piece of fabric, but so anyway, I'm thinking about it. So this is 40 count, 1/2, and I don't have so much done. And when I got it out this time, I wasn't like really compelled to stitch a ton on it, because I just stitched so much on the hometown sal. You know where I'm going with that? So maybe got some more thinking to do about this one. Someone else who's stitching on that is Nicole C. So if you want to go see more done, you can definitely go check that out on her channel. So on the 25th of the month, I got out my, is it Bakery Shop from Mill Hill? Village Bakery, from their Christmas series of the Winter Village. And then they have all of these other ones in the series. I really love that Queen Anne's house. So, sorry I didn't hold it very long. I'll put it back up there. I really like this. However, I mentioned this last time I stitched on this, and I'm frustrated with it because they don't separate the flosses for you in a way that helps me figure out what I was supposed to put where. And this fill-in of that, what is that? Oh, that's gonna be where the little gingerbread man is gonna go. That's like the signpost, right? That's not supposed to be the same color as this, but this kit has three or four shades of seafoam green or something like that. And this is supposed to be light, and I thought that looked light, but that's the medium or some variation of what get where I'm going. So I have to pull all that out, and I'm just annoyed because it's not separated. So when I go to stitch on this, I spend a lot of time looking at the flosses and being like, oh, I can't tell what's what, and I don't want to put it in and then be upset and pull it out. And so I would just leave this because who cares, right? But then I'm like, am I gonna have enough to finish the project if I leave all that dark in there? So it's probably just a DMC color that I could pick up. That's probably the solution. I should just leave it and then go get the DMC, more DMC for the darker. What do you guys think? Should I do that? Because, yeah, you can see here on the design, it's what's going in between here, which is not very dark. So, yeah, I should just leave it and then just get some more DMC. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for helping me with that conundrum. So one of the reasons I really like these, besides the fact that, I mean, if you can get over the fact that they don't tell you what floss is what, which really, really annoys me actually. I love that it's so portable and easy to take with you to like doctor's office visits or wherever you need to go. And it's so nice to take along. So when I finish this one, I fully intend on starting another. And I also love beading, so that makes Mirabilia's and Mill Hill's really fun. So that was my stitching on the 25th of the month. I stitch on something Christmassy. So I think I probably, like all of this I think in there is new. And then I think this and a lot of this, so yeah. Another day of the month that I stitch on something particular is the 4th of the month. I stitch on this 4th of July stitchy, and it's really starting to come together. I am loving it so much now that I've got a little bit more in there. So this is the Americana Sailboat sampler from Artful Offerings, and this is a piece of fabric that I overdyed. It has greens, very light olive, and I'm using none of the called for flosses just because I think Grecian gold I had, so I used that. But as you can see, I started putting in the base of the boat, and that is really helping. So I got in more in the striping, but then I was working mostly on the boat. So I am loving it a lot more now. And I saw this made into a pillow at Country Sampler, and it is gorgeous that way. I don't know if I will make a pillow, but I have a while yet to decide. Since I didn't get this done for this 4th of July, I can work on it for next year. And so I have a while yet. Another fall stitchy project. This is Adam's Family from Plum Street. In fact, I stitched a lot of Plum Street in the last 2 weeks. This is stitched on a piece of 36 count sand dollar from Be Stitch Me. And I am doing 1 strand over 2. And what is new? The lady's new. I even did her over 1 face, and then the flag. Let's pull in. And then I started on the man. No, that's gonna be another lady. So yes, I'm really enjoying this. This was another piece where I was looking through my WIPs and being like, what have I not stitched on in a while? So, the Adams Family from Plum Street Sampler, 36 count, 1 over 2. And this one is all the called for flosses. And I think it's not that big. It's only going to go to here, but I have a lot of this, all of this tree, I think, is pulling over quite a ways. So I said lots of Plum Street samplers. On the 30th of the month, I always stitch on this project. This is Blackberry House from Plum Street. And this is the project that my daughter picked for me to stitch on. And what did I do this time? I believe I was working on the foliage around the bird. I must not have had a ton of stitchy time on the 30th. So, but you know, a little bit each time you get it out. So this is a piece of Fabric and Flare. This is the color Dried Petal, which is really beautiful roses. And I'm using all the Call for flosses. So, 2 more WIPs. This next one is a long-term project. And I am stitching this with Heidi from WIPS and Kits, my bae, and Kim from Contented Needleworker Kim, who has a lot of progress on this. And we are stitching on this together when we do our stitchy Zooms. And so I stitched on this 2 times in the last 2 weeks because it's been 2 weeks and we stitch on Sundays. So what am I doing? This is again another piece that I over dyed with. This is an example of like really modeled fabric, which I kind of pulled back on for the landslide piece that's on my website. But anyway, these are stitched with 103s. It's a 103 conversion that Heidi and I got. And I think I was working mostly the past 2 weeks, mostly down here. I think the 2 weeks before that I was working on this, and then I decided to come down here. But I will tell you, this is not an easy project to stitch on when you're on a Zoom, because I have to concentrate super well to figure out if I'm in the right spot for this. But it's so beautiful. I love stitching on it, but yeah. I mean, whenever you're getting into these flowers, you're doing full coverage confetti stitching, and it takes a lot of concentration. So sometimes I've noticed on our stitchy Zooms, I don't get that much stitching on this done because I'm chatting and I want to pay attention to what they're saying, and it's one of my more difficult pieces, if you will. Anyway, this is 40 count, so I'm stitching 1 strand over 2, and here's this bed sheet. It will take a very long time, but I'm okay with that. So Reflets Soie, did I say Reflets Soie? That's Louisa Barny Reflets Soie. My final WIP, this I had out on the 7th. It's my birthday start from this last year. This is Seaside Stitches from Jeannette Douglas. You can't see it, but there's a ship, and then I did work on the seashells on the 2 sides, where I was just kind of working a lot with the white. I'm using the Call for flosses on this, so it's basically, I think it's all silks, but it's from, you know, there's some Soie d'Alger, there's some MPI, there's a bunch of different kinds of Gloriana flosses. So, okay, so I actually stitched on Seaside Stitches a little bit more. Let me zoom in. So I'm just gonna pop this in here because there really wasn't that much done on it. And so I put in some of the seaweed and the little coral swirls, and then I added some more in here and here. So I'm just gonna update this now so that I won't put it in my video for next time. So there's a little bit more progress, and I'm loving it. I love the colors in this one, the blues and the corals, and it's really pretty. I'm missing a Gloriana Princess Pearl that's going to go around the boat, in between the boat and the seaweed, I think. Although that's going to be a tight fit right there. Let me look at the pattern. Yep, it has to go really tight right in there. So when that comes in, I'll put that in there. But I just love the way Jeannette Douglas has it listed out step by step what she wants you to do. So she's like, go in and stitch the ship. And then there's actually supposed to be some like big lines for the back stitching, not back stitching, but for the sail and stuff, which I'm not going to add till the end because I don't want them to get messed up. And then I was supposed to put in this a chain stitch going around the boat, but I didn't have that yet. And so then the next thing she wants you to do is the seaweed and the little coral back stitches, and then work on these shells. So we're gonna move out like that. So anyway, there's that, and yeah, it's super duper fun. So that's everything that I stitched on the last couple weeks. I'm now gonna talk about everything that's gonna come out in the next 2 weeks that I'll be stitching on. So on the 10th, I'm gonna stitch on Pretty Little London. I always stitch on that. It's my anniversary piece with my husband. And on the 13th, I will again pick another Halloween project to stitch on. I don't know yet what it's gonna be, but you'll see next time. Our next video will be on about the 23rd of September. And then I'm actually gonna be leaving this Thursday to go to my stepdaughter's wedding in Connecticut. And so I gotta choose what stitchy things I wanna take with me, but we'll be there over the 15th. So I could take the Teresa Kogut Hometown Sal and stitch on that on the 15th. And then on the 21st, that will be the last day that I have a specific stitching thing. I will stitch on Cathy Barrick Fractor Flowers on the 21st. And then we'll be meeting again. So I will be pulling out a lot of fallish Halloween stitching. So I want to share with you my fall WIPs right now so that I can pick out some things that I want to stitch on, but I also just want to share with you my fall WIPs. In this one of like 3 project bags that I have that I've made is my Halloween Quaker from Leela's Studio, which I love, 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 love. And it's not actually that far from a finish. I mean, it is really, but it's a lot closer to a finish than it was, you know, for most of the year. So yes, this is stitched on a piece of Cauldron, I believe, from Picture This Plus, and I love this. So yeah, maybe I'll get this out on the 13th. I don't know. That one's with all the called for overdyed flosses. So that is my Halloween Quaker. We're gonna kind of breeze through these if you can't tell. My next fall WIP is Toil and Trouble from Plum Street Samplers. I also love this piece of fabric so much. So I am not using the called for flosses with this one. It's my own kit up of what I already had in stash. So I'm putting on the screen what the full project looks like, of course, so you can see, and then you can see where I'm at. So I love that one. This is another piece of linen that I have my recipe for that I love, that I'm considering about offering. This is Spooky Countdown from the Primitive Hair. I love it. Another project that I saw on Olivia Pumpkin Hollow Quilt's channel. It's just so cute. I love the Primitive Hair. So this is a piece of 40 count stitched 1/2 with my own conversion of flosses, just what I already had in stash. You guys saw this one very recently. This is Hello Halloween from Sue Hillis on Fiber on a Whim Pumpkin. It's getting very close to a finish. 1/2 on 36 count with the called for DMC. Another one with the called for DMC. This is Happy Halloween from Brian Jackson. This project is so cool looking. You can't hardly tell what it is from here, but I'll put it up on the screen so you can see, but it's super, super cool. And I have this one loaded into my Markup XP app, which helps a lot. So the wizard and the skeleton face in there, the H is coming in with the trees, there's the P's. So this is stitched on a piece of Beach Walk, I think. It's a 32 count even weave. Yeah, call for DMC, so I'm doing 2/2 on that. This one got rolled and I meant to get more progress on this guy, but I didn't recently. But anyway, this is my Run Holo, Halloween Run Holo. So I need to put more work into the first block. There's the first one that I did that's finished, and then I went up from there. And this is just a piece of 40 count Zweigart flax. just plain. So yep, that's the only Hawk Run Holo that I've started, but a wonderful viewer gifted me Christmas at Hawk Run Holo, so I really want to start that one next. Next, I have Paisley Pumpkin from Rosewood Manor. It's so pretty. She's so wonderful with her flosses. So I believe these are the anchor flosses. Maybe that's a different project, but she uses so many colors and blends them, and so it's really fun. So this is another piece of linen that I dyed for this. And it's 40 count, so 1 strand over 2, Rosewood Manor. I misspoke, those were DMCs. Next I have Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain by Cathy Barrick. And this, I'm using the Vicky Clayton Silk Conversion Pack. I believe last time I was just taking this border over as far as I could in one day. So, not a lot of the meat done. Another piece of fabric that I just love. This might be the one I do next. So, anyway, yeah. I love this piece. So 1 over 2 on 40 count with the Vicky Clayton Silks. My goodness, I haven't stitched on this in forever. This, I think, is just a piece of Platinum's Weigart 40 count. This is Autumn Cloche from Hello from Liz Matthews. I always forget that I even have this as a WIP. So I have not done hardly any on this. I have all of the called for MPIs. This was one of my favorite autumn pieces when it came out at market, and then I barely stitched anything on it. So yes, need more work badly because that design is so cute. So cute. This is the Halloween calendar from Tiny Modernist, and I have this is on a break, but I don't know, I don't think it needs to be on a break for too much longer. I needed a break from it at the time, but it's just so cute. It's so cutesy. And I still have young kids, so that's why I feel like it still would be really fun in my house. And this piece of fabric is so pretty. I'll put up on the screen what it is. I don't remember right now, but I'll look in my journal. Isn't that pretty? That smoky layering over the blue. Oh, so pretty. So that's, I think a 18 count Aida, 16 or 18 count Aida, and I'm using the Call for DMC 2 over 1. Another town, another project that is just stitching a town. But this one's different because it's autumn and you get like more of the countryside, not just the buildings. So this is Autumn Lane, Stitchery, Autumn Town. And it's such a beautiful piece. Oh, yeah. That's the only thing when you have a lot of WIPs like me is sometimes you forget about the ones that you've been meaning to work on, which is why I have a WIP wheel to help me draw random WIPs that I've forgotten about. And I feel like some people make like a vision board of all their WIPs, so they put pictures and so then they can see it at a glance to remind themselves of all the WIPs that they have, so they don't forget to work on stuff. I feel like I've seen Brenda doing that, Handwork Maniac. But anyway, this is another piece of linen that I dyed. It's a 40 count, so I'm doing 1 strand over 2 of the Call for DMC, and then there's like 2 Gloriana. Are you loving all this fall stitching? Okay, this is Folksy Thomas. He is so close to a finish. I think I just saw, again, Olivia from Pumpkin Hollow Quilts just had a finish on this, and he's just so cute. So I believe this is all the called for DMCs, and then there's like a few over dyed. And I'm stitching this on a piece of linen that I over dyed, which is much more rich greeny browns. And I love this piece. I'm very glad that I chose to put Thomas on a more dramatic piece of linen. And so yeah, maybe my only Thanksgiving piece. So I need to finish him up. So it's a 40 count, so it's 1 over 2. There's Thomas. Tommy Tom. Happy fall, y'all. I know it's not technically fall yet, but it will be soon. Before my next video. I think this is my last one. So this is Spooky Sampler. from Heartstring Samplery, which is so clever and cute. But this sampler is kind of difficult because to get down to the meat down here, because I started up in the top left, which is where I always start, you have to do a lot of border to get down there. So I started filling in the words so that I could jump down from the words. So maybe that's what I'll do next, because I just kind of got tired of doing the demigorgons, even though they are really cool. So this is stitched on a piece of, I think, white felt that I overdyed. And so it's 32 count, I'm doing 2, and I did it really dramatic. This is probably one of the first things that I ever overdyed. I don't really overdye white felt very much anymore. It takes the dye differently than Zweigart. But yeah, that's Scary Sampler. So those are all of my Halloween WIPs. I do have those little Halloween candy ornaments that I started last year, but they have been on a little bit of a hiatus and they aren't in here currently. So yes, that's everything we're going to talk about today. So next we need to draw some random projects. First up, I'm going to draw something from my 2024 Mania. So here are all the projects I stitched on the first 24 days of May this year. I always participate in Mania. There were like a few new starts, but most of these were all things that I already had as WIPs. So I have them numbered, and so I use my random number generator, and I pick a number, and it's 15, and that is Hello Halloween! That number comes up a lot. So there it is. That's the skeletons on the truck from Sue Hillis. So that is great. We will get closer to a finish on that. And then I'm going to draw one more project. And on my Tiny Decisions app wheel, I have all of my WIPs in here. And so we can just click it and it will draw a random WIP. That is, okay, that's one that I already finished, Aurora Cabin. That's the Dimensions project. It looked like that. And that is the Halloween candy that I was just talking about. Okay, if I decided I don't want to stitch on that, I'm going to pick one more thing. Oh my gosh. These are supposed to be marking off when I draw them. And that's the thing I just finished. So hopefully I'm marking off a lot of spaces. Okay, 2019 Santa. Okay, that's the Prairie Schooler Santa with the sheep. It says Peace on Earth, and that one is still a current WIP. So you'll see a little bit of progress on that at some point in the next 2 weeks, but then it'll be mostly fall and Halloween stitching, I think. So those are all of my plans, and that's my mini fall WIP parade. And now I'm going to talk with you about some reading. So if you are not interested in hearing about books, then I will see you back in 2 weeks. I'm just going to do a little bit of chat about what I've been reading in the last couple weeks. So my friend is reading the Throne of Glass series, so I'm rereading it with her because I already own all of them. So we did Throne of Glass, and then we did Heir of Fire, I believe, and then we did I'd never read Assassin's Blade before. That's like the prequel. And it suggested that you read it after the first two. These are Sarah J. Maas books. Did I already say that? And then right now we're reading Queen of Shadows, which is the third book. And it's also, the whole thing's going to be a reread for me. I've read this whole series. So very much enjoying. I love the third book. I also just did a reread of Red Rising. This is one of my favorite series if you haven't read it. I'm reading that with my brother, and he started the first book, and he's halfway done, and I just read the whole thing. It's so good, and the narrator is so good. Okay, so before I was doing those rereads, what was I reading? I finished Black Sun, which was a Mesoamerica. There's like these different religious factions, and there's these different political powers. And the first book, it's mainly about these 3 or 4 main characters, and they're all kind of on different sides. And honestly, the first book, it kind of is a big build-up for maybe what's going to happen in book 2. So it is a trilogy, which I wasn't aware, before I started reading it. Let me get the author's name. This is by Rebecca Roanhorse. And I did really like this book. I liked the different narrators that there were, and I liked the different characters. They were all very interesting and compelling to me, and the political intrigue, and there's different magical powers, so I did enjoy it. I do plan on reading book 2. If you've read this series, please share with me. I don't know anybody else that's reading it right now, but it did come highly recommended from somebody's like best books or something. I finished No Exit from Taylor Adams. It looks like this, and this was by the same author that wrote the one where she's kind of like a recluse and she reads a book online and then she decides to write just like a really scathing review, and that does not go well for her because the person who wrote it gets really upset. That book, when I was talking about that maybe like a month ago, and this is also from that author, and this is about this girl who's trying to hurry home. She just found out her mother's very sick. She's trying to rush home in the middle of like a snowstorm. She's going like from Colorado to Utah or something, and she can't drive anymore. She has to stop at this exit, this rest area, and then a lot of crazy stuff happens. And I really like this one as well. I thought it was it wasn't like totally predictable. Some stuff was predictable, but it was entertaining and I thought it was exciting, and I did enjoy it a little bit better than the other one by Taylor Adams. So yes, I think I give that one like a 3.5. Black Sun, I would say I give it like a 4. I think that's everything that I've read in the last couple weeks. If I forgot something, I'll pop it in here. So anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. I really appreciate you joining me. Again, if you're interested, I will leave the link down below to where you can go to shop my new linen. I think that's gonna be everything today. I hope that you get so much stitchy time in the next 2 weeks, and that you enjoyed hanging out with me today, getting a little stitchy time, or maybe you're just listening while you were doing the dishes, mopping the floor. Yeah. I think that's it. So I will see you back in 2 weeks after my trip to the East Coast. I'm very excited. Maybe there'll be some stitchy stores out there. I haven't searched up if there's anything in Connecticut and what I need to go take a look at. So yeah, that's gonna be it. I will see you later. Take care until then. Happy stitching. Okay, bye.